introduction. I'm delighted to be here today as the Chief Advisor to the Association of Chinese Financial Professionals in the UK. We make our appearance at the bottom right-hand corner of this slide here in collaboration with our organization. And I must say that ACfPU is an organization with which it is very good to be associated and to collaborate. I look around and see many of our young members here. It was founded in 2008. It has many different committees and organizations, and it is certainly a dynamic organization in all that it does. I went in June on a Friday evening to an event they put on with the Bank of China. It was a very sunny Friday evening in June, but they got over 200 people who came to that, stayed through the whole event and for the networking afterwards there, and they do put on events which are really worthwhile. They also are encouraging the next generation, the people I talk with here and see here today and go to meetings, but then there are the younger ones coming up working in financial services with China, both for Chinese and also with other European companies, and they are an increasingly important part of the links that are being promoted now between China and the City of London, and which we see very well represented here today. Helping the new generation to come along, I think, does mean that when I talk to my Chinese friends in China, they know that it's not just the international people who come to the City of London to talk about China and to help the business forwards and staff the offices elsewhere, but that they know that the Chinese network here that is represented is something which really can give a great deal of help to them. They have the clubs, their series there, their ACfPU ambassadors, and I think it's particularly important today what they are doing, so that as we move later on in the program, and we get to the matters this afternoon, for example, like obviously the free trade zone in Shanghai, we know that the people here in this room and those who come from the China Club, China Business Club of the London School there, they are here and they are people who are looking after the business development in and with Chinese companies. I think it was very successful that we had the arrangements at last in September. We had the 5th UK-China Economic and Financial Dialogue, which had been on suspense for about 18 months, but the Chancellor went out there, had meetings with Vice Premier Mark Kai, and had a business delegation, and indeed 4 other ministers with him. I was there the couple of weeks before, the first 2 weeks of September. I went down to Shanghai to be taken around the Shanghai Free Trade Zone and to listen to what the people there hope to achieve and what their ambitions are. Also, I had a meeting with my old friend, Party Secretary Hang Zheng, Shanghai, who had just been talking to the local office of the People's Bank of China, and he was encouraged about what they felt they could do internationally and in China, taking advantage of this free trade zone. And certainly, British companies want to do that. In January, almost 2 years ago, I hosted a dinner for the CBBC at the law courts, and we had 500 people who were there, and we had that time Vice Premier Li Keqiang talking about the 5th five-year plan. It was a speech he'd given in Nanjing a couple of months before, and he emphasized the importance of the service sector in that five-year plan, the 12th five-year plan, not just in its own right, but as a service sector supporting other areas of the economy and other developments between the UK and China. I then went and saw him in September of that year when I was in Beijing, and we sort of reviewed what had been happening in the first 6 months. I think he was pleased with the way it's gone, and we owe a lot to him now as Premier, as taking things forwards and emphasizing that and supporting what we're trying to do. And I think the links he's established with our Chancellor of the Exchequer and our Treasury are very important. When I was there in March, he kindly arranged for me to meet Vice Premier Wang Yang, who is a very impressive person, a person who has had a very good career so far, and I think now is moving forwards in central government. And I think that is one of the impressive things about China, the way you choose your leaders and the way they are encouraged and nurtured. They'll have had experience, perhaps running a factory, running a province, and probably actually have more practical experience than we have in our leadership as they come forward. It seems much more haphazard, and I hope we really can benefit. The good thing is, for those of us who travel regularly to China, we actually can keep track of our friends as they move from a city to a province to central government, and there one is able to work with them and to really work with old friends. One of the things that I am encouraged about in joining such a young and dynamic organization as ACfPU is that we know China does pay attention to age. And I'm banking on the fact that the older I get, the more use I'm going to be to my friends in ACfPU. It's important because we do share our experiences, we share our links. I think there will be many ministerial and other visits now that the doors have opened up between China and the UK. And I've always found it's very important to get to know people when they come to the UK, where you can spend time with them, where you can get to know them, and therefore that you can follow through the business. And that happened on the opening day of the Olympics, when we had the members of the China Entrepreneur Club who put on some programs at Lancaster House, with which I and others were involved. And that's why I was delighted to go to Kunming in the spring to attend their annual conference and to see all that they do, because they are seasoned entrepreneurs who have companies, have successes, things that they have achieved. And here in this group this morning and in the ACfPU membership, there are young entrepreneurs, some already with organizations that they're helping to grow, others with lots of ambition and support. And I think that's where one can give that there. They have links to lots of very good people. In that seminar in the summer I mentioned, Spencer Lake of HSBC gave a very comprehensive address. It was extremely interesting, not just for the Chinese members of that audience, but all those for the rest of the City of London. And he happily again is talking on the program again later on this morning. The developments and the continuity are provided by an organization like ACfPU and also with an organization like the China Business Forum. Because I think it is important with visits and with your dean going to China and keeping connections alive there, it makes it very important that the new generations on both sides do get inspiration. The organizations in the City of London, I think, have benefited very much. I set up the CBBC's Financial Services Committee 18 years ago, now handed on to my successor, James Sassoon, there. But I think the business that one is able to do, either in the Shanghai Free Trade Zone, people having a go there, with helping inwards investment, which has gone on tremendously, as you said, Minister, in the last couple of years. And also now, I think, with London as the major global center for RMB business, there are some specific conferences concentrating on this particular subject. And I think when they first came here 2 years ago and said that this is what then Wang Qishan, who would be my friend when he was the mayor of Beijing and then was the minister in charge of finance, said he wanted London to be the center outside Hong Kong for the exchange, the RMB. I said then to the Treasury, it is ours to lose. And they have not lost it, and they have done everything, and they've had regular meetings, again, with many young people from the Treasury in Hong Kong, in China. And therefore, I do think that when our current Chancellor has meetings with Mark Kai and is able to offer what can be done in the City of London, then we do give confidence. One event which was reported at the time of the Chancellor's visit was allowing the major Chinese banks to set up here as branches. The pressure for this grew up because whilst we were enforcing the EU rules that you we had the Bank of China, who's been here for over 80 years and is a branch, but the other companies, ICBC, etc., were registering local subsidiaries. But then Luxembourg came in and said, you can come to us and you can register as a branch, and once you are registered as a branch in Luxembourg, you can do as many things in London as you like. So therefore, to regularize that and to get that in line, I think was a very productive thing, in fact, for our Chancellor in the economic and financial dialogue. So there are always lots of things happening between our two countries. The audience today bears witness to that. And not only that, but you help concentrate. People know out in China how many people, Chinese and of various nationalities, are very much experienced with China and doing business with China. And therefore, I think it's wonderful today to come here with the China Business Club and with my company, ACfPU, so that we can actually plan ahead and learn what people want us to be doing. So thank you for inviting me to participate, and thank you all very much for coming.